got David's account of this whole experiment captured through photos mostly, and then a little bit with some AI assistance since he had a stroke.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
but then life happened. He had a stroke. And that simple mix of, you know, guinea pig pellets, hay, rainwater, was left on that windowsill
Oh,
for
wow.
who knows how long,
Yeah.
weeks, maybe even months.
That's a long time.
But what David found when he came back, it was way beyond mold.
Really?
The photos are remarkable.
So first things first, the whole mixture turned black.
Oh, wow.
Right. And that's because all those busy little microbes were hard at work breaking down all that organic material, consuming oxygen, oxidizing the iron, and that created a pretty harsh acidic environment.
Right.
But some clever bacteria decided, hey, let's team up and form biofilms,
Right.
which, helps them survive even in those low oxygen conditions. Things took an even more interesting turn after a while.
Oh.
Yeah. After a couple of months, something pretty unusual started growing. And we're not just talking about your average, everyday fungus. This was Pilobolus. You might know it by its more exciting name, the dung cannon.
Wait a second. Dung cannon?
Uh-huh.
But didn't we start with guinea pig waste, hay, and rainwater? Where does the whole dung thing come in?
You are right to question that. You see, Pilobolus is usually found on fresh herbivore dung. So it's this, well, kind of unassuming fungus, really. It's got these unbranched stalks, and they end in these kind of swollen tips. And those tips hold clusters of black spores. These stalks, or fruiting bodies they're called, they lack any branches, which is really interesting because that allows them to focus their growth into launching those spores as far as possible.
So these fruiting bodies, they're like tiny cannons.
That's exactly it. And the way it actually disperses these spores is what gives it that dung cannon nickname. You see, the fungus builds up all this pressure inside this special vesicle at the tip of the fruiting body, and then bam, launches those spores like microscopic projectiles. We're talking up to 2 meters away.
Wow, that's quite a show. But why all the theatrics? Why not just release the spores passively, like some other fungi?
Well, it's all about survival. Think about it. Herbivores, they tend to avoid the area right around their droppings, what we call the zone of repugnance.
Okay, that makes sense.
Pilobolus, it needs to launch its spores beyond that zone to reach fresh grass, where it can then be eaten by another herbivore, and, the cycle starts all over again.
That's amazing. It's like a long jump champion making sure it lands in the perfect spot to find a new host.
Exactly.
But, okay, here's the thing. If there wasn't any fresh dung in this experiment,
Yeah.
how did Pilobolus even end up in this guinea pig hay rainwater mix?
That's a real mystery, isn't it? And to make things even more interesting, Pilobolus wasn't the only unexpected guest at this microbial party.
Yeah.
We also saw the emergence of another fungus called Coprinopsis.
Coprinopsis. What's the story with this one?
Well, Coprinopsis, it starts out pretty humbly, just a tiny little ball of hyphae, those thread-like structures that make up, all fungi.
I see.
But then it undergoes this amazing transformation.
Really? Does it just like sprout a mushroom overnight? What happens?
Not quite overnight, but pretty quickly. First, it forms this compact ball-like structure. Then it develops a universal veil, which is like a protective cocoon. And finally, ta-da, it emerges as a fully formed mushroom.
So this universal veil, is that like what, a protective layer for the developing mushroom? And what makes it break down and finally reveal the mature structure?
You got it. It's all about protection. As the mushroom inside grows and matures, it eventually pushes through that veil. And the remnants of the veil, they're left behind as these sugary granules on the cap.
Wow, that's fascinating.
Oh, and speaking of the cap, this mushroom is quite the looker. It has these radial grooves on its cap, those sugary granules from the veil, and a white, hairy stem.
It sounds beautiful.
It is.
Okay, so we've got this seemingly hostile environment. It's black, it's oxygen depleted. But clearly that didn't stop our fungal friends. First, we've got Pilobolus making the surprise appearance, and then Coprinopsis goes all out with a full-blown coming-out party. And all of this within, what, just a few weeks? That's a lot faster than the Pilobolus, isn't it?
It is, and it really shows you the incredible diversity and, the rapid growth patterns that we see in the fungal world.